everybody, welcome to another episode of Gamer Logic. I'm Mike Murtis, and today I wanted to talk about one of my favorite series, though I have many favorite series of course, on PlayStation and PlayStation 2. This was a series that started out in 1996 and was very unique for how it played, and this is the Deception series, which is by Tecmo, the makers of Fatal Frame and Ninja Gaiden. You know, I picked up Deception way back in 1996. I just turned 16. I had my first job working at a video store. Really loved the job, and just got my paycheck and was walking around the mall looking for some games and, you know, making, I think it was $5.15 an hour at that time. That was what minimum wage was. I walked around the mall into the game store and was looking for whatever my measly paycheck could afford, which seemed like tons of money at the time. And sure enough, I was kind of browsing through the used games section of EB Games, and I found Tecmo's Deception. And the front of the cover reminded me of seeing it the first time in a magazine as an ad. And the reason why it was so familiar to me was that it said, "Caution, game contains satanic references and it may offend some people." And I thought that was really weird because I've never seen an ad like that in any game. So for 19 bucks I decided, what the hell, and I picked it up. I got it home, I popped it in, and I was just amazed at the gameplay and amazed at the storyline, and it was just so unique. I've never played anything like it. And it kind of covered the basis of all of the Deception series. Is you usually play as a person who's either been killed unwrongfully, betrayed, or hunted, and you are given the power to make and summon traps in a castle for most of the games, or certain areas and other places. You always have people trying to attack you and trying to capture you, and you have the power to summon these traps. So one example is a guy with a sword may be coming to cut you down, and you can actually set a trap in the room to get him impaled by spikes, or have a giant ball drop on him, or have flaming arrows or poison arrows shot at him. It's very, very, very cool. And that is kind of the gist of the whole series here, is you're a trap maker and you're taking your enemies out with traps, and that is very unique. There are not many other games that are like that, other than say maybe like Dungeon Master for the PC, but these were really cool. So popping in this game and playing it, you play as a prince who has just returned home from a journey, and he visits his father, the king. Well, as he's talking to his father says that he's going to step down from the throne, and for some strange reason he's struck down by the sword and he's killed right in front of you. Your brother walks in and sees this happen and says, "Hey, that's your sword, you're responsible for killing father, how could you?" The next scene, you're up in these gallows, and all these people who were once your loyal subjects and who loved you and everything have turned against you, and they want your blood and they want revenge for killing the king. And you cry out to whoever's listening, may it be good or evil, to help you get your revenge against these people and the ones who wrongfully accused you of killing the king. Well, you're struck by lightning and you die, only to awaken in the Forest of Confusion. This lady tells you that you need to go to this Castle of the Damned, where you can make a pact with the devil and get the power to summon traps. So as you're going through this game, you're again killing people, and people are hearing these rumors about all these adventurers who are dying in this castle, and the story gets around the kingdom, and your brother finds out that you supposedly are still alive and in this castle. So the story develops into something really big, and you find out who betrayed you, why you were betrayed, and all this other stuff. And at the same time, you're capturing these souls to revive the devil. So there's a couple different endings you can do to the game, which is really unique as well. But all the different traps and all the different characters, may they be innocent or not, you have some really interesting choices to make in the game. And it was so much fun. You know, it was summer when I picked this up. I played it for so many hours at a time. I was just sucked into my PlayStation. It was one of those games I spent a lot of time on, 8-9 hours. You know, when it was summertime and you had the day off from work, what were you supposed to do? So, pretty interesting there. A couple years later, I walked into GameStop and found Kagero Deception 2. And actually, it was the demo disc for Deception 2. Tecmo was really trying to get the game out there a little bit more. And popped it in my PlayStation, and it was a little bit different from the first Deception. The first Deception, you played as a person from the first-person perspective, and you launched your traps this way. This one, you played as Millennia, who actually is in the third person, so you see her from behind. The general gameplay is the same, except they took away any of really the satanic references that were in it, and replaced it with a race called the Time Noids that were beings who were immortal and couldn't be killed, and they kind of brainwashed the girl you play as to kill the human race or kill people coming into this castle. So kind of the same series, and all sorts of betrayal and plot twists in this as well. And the third person really helps add a cleaner perspective to everything. And I will say for the series has never had fantastic graphics, but if you can get past the rough-looking 3D graphics, it really is a great game series. So again, this was another one that I eventually picked up after the demo disc, and had tons of fun with it, loved the storyline, played through it, got all the traps, and even the advanced special traps that you could get in the game, and just loved it. Now, in 2000, Tecmo released Deception 3 Dark Delusion. And, you know, 2000, 2001, I was really kind of phasing out of video games. I really wasn't interested in them anymore, so this one kind of went by the wayside, unfortunately. Just a couple weeks ago, I was walking into a pawn shop and saw this here. And I actually, you know, even when I was browsing through games and stuff when I wasn't interested, and even at conventions and stuff like that, I have never really seen Deception 3 available anywhere. In this one, you play as Rena, and Rena is a kidnapped girl who is kidnapped along with her little brother and her mother, who runs into this rebellion and learns of all this stuff about this king who has, you know, been in war with another kingdom, and now he's planning to kidnap these townsfolk and folk around the actual island and bring them to this other island in order to use them as slave laborers and force them to work. So, you are kidnapped in the beginning of the game and actually start out in a dungeon and learn how to use your traps there. You escape and learn about this resistance, and you try to bring the king down. Now, just having picked this up, I haven't played through it completely, but it definitely seems very, very good. The graphics are awesome. I will say that this game actually has Japanese voices instead of English voices, so they didn't dub it. And it's pretty fun. Graphically, again, not great looking, but the best compared to the first two. And it seems like a really fresh take on the series, and seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. The storyline is also very cool, so I'm looking very forward to playing this. Finally, we get to the fourth game in the series that does not bear the name Deception at all, though in Japan it was actually Kagero 2, and I want to say it was actually Dark Delusion or Dark Illusion. But here in America it was released as Trapped. And I remember picking this up and looking at it and looking at the back of it and reading it and going, God, this sounds an awful lot like the Deception series. So I picked it up. Now this is another game that has a lot of cutscenes in it. Again, it's Japanese voices, which I guess was a turn off for a lot of people. But this brought the Deception series into PS2 territory, and in my opinion it looked pretty good. The storyline was pretty good, had a lot of plot twists and endings. And the traps, again, just a fun trap system to play as. This time you play as a princess who kind of gets put in a similar situation as the character in Deception. And, you know, lots of different endings again for this, and just tons of fun. And, you know, after Trapped, I really don't think the series has expanded after that. I don't think Tecmo has any future plans on expanding the series, just because this really didn't sell that well, and not too many people cared for it that did pick it up, which is unfortunate. And I think really the series started dwindling down after 2, because 3 kind of came out in that period where PS2 was out and everyone was playing PS2 games. So the series, you know, just kind of dropped, unfortunately. I really hope Tecmo decides to bring it back, maybe in an Xbox Live Arcade format, or maybe on the DS or something. But if you haven't played the Deception series, you're really missing out. I guess if you were to start out with anything, I'd probably say start out with 2 or start out with 3, because I'm really enjoying 3. But it's just a unique game with the trap system, and it's unlike anything you'll ever play. I definitely recommend trying at least one of these games in the series. And that's pretty much it. I just wanted to talk about how much I love this series and how great it is. The Deception series by Tecmo. Check it out, folks. I'm on Logic. Take it easy.